How's it going, guys? It's Steve here from the Hoopers Mayhem channel. Thanks for watching today's video. It's going to be spread out, I guess, over probably the next couple of days, but I'm down here in Lake Clifton doing a bit more exploring. So we've got the Lake Clifton lime kiln, which is this behind me. It's a really old lime kiln. And yeah, so if you're new to this channel, guys, thanks for coming and checking out my channel and watching my videos, and to all my other subscribers that have been watching my stuff, thanks again. Anyway, we'll run the intro and then we'll get into showing you a bit more with the lime kilns and take the drone and a few other things, a bit of a bushwalk and some bit of history on the place. So stay tuned, guys, and we'll see you right after this. Alrighty, so I've just got in contact with a guy through my channel, and he's welcomed me onto his property to come and check out the old railway lines that actually used to run directly from the lime kiln all the way through to Waroona. So the Portland Cement Company used to basically put the lime, pump it from this lake that I'm going down to now. They used to transport the lime in from on a wagon, on a train track through from Lake Clifton all the way to Waroona. So they did eventually rip up the actual old railway after it was shut down, but there's still signs of it still out here. So I met this guy John. It's from the Lake Clifton Winery, guys. If you ever in the area, come and see John from the Lake Clifton Winery. He's got some beautiful ports, wines. Really nice guy. Him and his wife run the little shop. It was pretty funny because I actually quite regularly come down here and get my port off him. So when I messaged him, I didn't realise who I was talking to until I rocked up at his gate, and I went, oh, I knew exactly who it was. So it's pretty cool. So he's invited me to his property anyway. So I'm just going down now to the bush track, down onto the lake, and I'll get the drone out and we'll fly the drone and try to get some aerial footage of the old railway line and maybe some remnants of the pipe work that they used to pump out of the lake here and get their the lime, and yeah, get back to you. Alrighty guys, so that was out at the Lake Clifton Winery. It's on Newnham Road in Lake Clifton. I just got a bottle of plum port. So thank you, John. And like I said, if you want to come down to the Lake Clifton Winery, it's well worth the trip down here because his wines are absolutely beautiful. His ports are phenomenal. He's got port, like chocolate ports and white wines, strawberry wines, whole bunch of different cool things, and he does the tastings and stuff like that. So like I said, it's well worth coming down, and he's a really nice guy, funny guy. So John, if you're watching, I really hope you do well, and I really appreciate you letting me come down and check out your pad and do all that sort of stuff. So thanks again. So now we're going to head off into Waroona to the actual shire, and we're going to go purchase a book called Drakesbrook Years and the History of Waroona or something like that, I think it's called, but I'll show you once I get it, and then we'll go from there. Alrighty guys, so we just pulled up the Waroona council chambers, or the city, Waroona Shire, basically. So the office, so I'm going to go in and see him and speak to him, so I probably won't be able to film in there. Might get a bit weirded out by that, but I'm going to go in and speak to him and see if I can get hold of this Drakesbrook Days and Waroona Years or something it's called. So we'll see how we go and try and get a bit more history on the place, and then hopefully they might be able to head us out in the right direction of where we can find some really cool sites like the railway lines that are still left over, and a bit more history on the place. So we'll see how we go. Right. So I was just about to walk in. Bit of a tip for everyone: if you're like me and like to carry knives on your hip, make sure you remove them before walking into a government building or shire. They kind of were looking at me a little bit strange, so I'll remove this and I'll go back in and see how that goes. Alrighty, so I just took my drone out for a bit of a fly at the back of Waroona, just trying to find where these railway lines have come through from, obviously from Waroona to Lake Clifton, like I mentioned before. So I took the drone up into the sky and had a bit of a scout around at a place that I was given a GPS coordination for. So I couldn't really see much of anything left, to be honest. There looked like a bit of a track going through one of the paddocks that was there. It was pretty well defined. You could see that it was an actual track, but I mean, that could be a number of things. It could be tractors or any kind of farming machinery, things like that. I'm not sure if it was actually the road, the railway line or not, but who knows. So I'm gonna find out some more information and hopefully be able to get some better locations of some of the more pristine sort of sections of the railway lines. See if I can get some better footage of it, so I can show you where it was or what it looked like. And like I said, there's not much of it left. So when the lime kiln actually closed down, it was only open for like 2 days, like I mentioned before. They actually tore up all the sleepers, the jar of sleepers that the railway line was on, and all the railway roads, and took them up north to another line that they were making. So now I'm just sort of heading back towards Lake Clifton again and see if I can maybe take the drone up over the lime kiln. So the house that I was at, the winery, the Lake Clifton Winery with John that I was talking about before, his house is about probably 4 or 5 houses actually down from the old lime kiln. So he's got a section of the railway line that's still sort of visible through his property. Not the line itself, but just the mounds that they would have had to dig and hand dug and put the lines on. So I've got a little bit of footage of that on my drone, so you can sort of see it. But like I said, it's almost like a long forgotten history, all these railway lines. They're not really maintained or anything like that. Alrighty, so we've come down a bit of a bush track that we I marked on my maps, just like a pin. I got a map given to me, sent by someone who runs a bit of a historical page on Facebook, and they had some old maps of the area of where they actual old train line used to run through. So I could sort of compare that with actual Google Maps and sort of pinpoint a general area. Right near is a track, like a fire break sort of thing that's happened. So we've driven down this fire break and pulled up, and you can see like the actual mound of dirt grown over, obviously, but you can see where it looks like they would have hand dug through the bush here and mounded it up and leveled it off to put the train tracks on. So we're going to just take a walk now and see it, but we've definitely worked out that we found the old railway track that links from the kiln to Waroona, so that's a pretty cool find. So we'll walk along the track, have a bit of a scout around, and we'll come back with the metal detector and see if we can find some old railway pins. So I'm hoping to find some railway pins, because surely if they've removed all these pins, all these railway lines, sleepers, they would have had the actual railway pins. They would have lost some of them, so hopefully we can find a few that are still in reasonable good condition. But we'll see how we go, and yeah, we'll get back to you soon.
look, there's some. Maybe those rocks back there that was inside are the same ones as well. Look at that. There. That looks like a piece of an old sleeper or something. Like you can see where the edge has been planed, it's pretty old and rotted away, but I reckon it might have been rectangular at one point.
Yep, we'll detect around that. There's another one there, look.
Another one, yeah, it must be, because that's, you don't get trees break like that.
No. There's another piece, look.
Yeah. On the left hand side of it, down over here, just down there is a big massive doline too.
Yeah.
Probably where the, not there, but like on the other side, it's sort of gets through green over there.
Yeah.
Must be in there.
Alrighty, good morning guys. So today is another day. We're just back on the hunt for the old train tracks out here. This is actually old Lake Clifton town, sort of a little bit west of where the town was situated, but we followed in a bit of a track that we thought might have had the train track, so you could sort of see where it was cut out on either side and then a big flattened area. So this here is pretty pristine considering they've removed the old tracks, but you can see here where they would have actually had to like carve their way down the side of a mountain. So obviously this big boulder which is coming up from there and runs back there would have been in their way, and they wanted to keep that nice flat area, so they've actually hand chipped out all of this rock from here. It's probably scattered up on the hill up here or maybe down in amongst here, but so this is pretty cool. This is definitely where the old train line that went from the lime kiln, which is in that direction back towards me, which is that way. The lime kiln is situated just on the Old Coast Road, just in Lake Clifton. There you'll see a sign that says old kiln, and then this track which just runs behind me, that's Waroona. So Waroona's all the way probably about another 20-30 k's west of here, in this direction. So yeah, this is the track. They've carved it out at some stage back in the 1920s. So we might have a bit of a look around as well whilst we're here and see if we can find any old artifacts or some train stake pegs, or we've seen a few what look like little sleepers and stuff like that. So this is pretty cool, but it would have been hard yakka back in the day trying to carve out through all this sort of stuff. It's a bit of evidence there with the hole straight in the side of the tunnel, side of the limestone that they would have dug out of this area. So maybe they've blasted this material, the cap rock, limestone. So that's just you can see where their tools have bored into this hole, this rock. It goes a fair way down. But it's a big chunk. Obviously this one, if they did blast it, this one didn't go off, but maybe it fractured so that way they could remove this piece without having to worry about blasting it. Something there. Oh, there it is there. Oh,
Yeah, look at that.
wow, that's an old train peg. There you go, Ken. Right there somewhere. So, yeah. Oh, there you go.
Another one.
Sweet, another peg. There's our other one. Same, exactly the same.
More little bits of wire and stuff in it.
Alright, so we've got another signal here somewhere. Somewhere. There. So dig it up. There is a fence post just there. There could be a good chance that it's a fence. Something to do with fencing.
Not like that. Oh, look, Stephen. 2 movies in one, buddy.
Witchy grub. No, not 2 movies in one. That's not a witchy grub. That's just a normal grub.
That's a beetle larva.
I'm not eating that.
Eat it.
Nah.
You'll love it.
No way.
Must be full of iron. It's beeping. No, eat that witchy grub.
I'm not eating a witchy grub.
You told me the other day I want to eat one.
No.
You said, hey, let's go find one. I'll eat it. Well, guess what? Found one.
I also said, Michael, if we go looking for a wattle tree, we'll dig the wattle tree up and I'll eat a witchy grub from a wattle tree. That is not a witchy grub.
Bigger. You're better off eating one of them. It's smaller.
Right, here's our find. So we've got 2 pretty intact sort of pins. A couple that are starting to wear away. And pretty much down to nothing. And then, don't know what this one was, but it's got a nut on the end of it, welded on. It looks pretty old, but I don't think it would be as old as those ones. But that's what I wanted to find, was these railway sleepers, and that's an indication that we're in the right spot, so that's actually pretty cool. They're pretty knackered, but that'll be pretty cool. That one's still got its square shape to it, but I just think we're just trying to work this out before, like, so these, each and every one of these pins that have been found today, someone would have had to have been holding them and driving them into the sleepers 100 years ago. So no one's touched these for 100 years, except for when they pulled them out of the ground and dropped them, obviously, but it's pretty cool. There we go, guys. So this is going to be the ending for the video. So I actually filmed this video middle of 2020, so it's been probably a good 8 months, maybe longer. As you can see, I've got a little bit hairier, and yeah, so I did my first shooting of the video, and then I did it about another 6 weeks later or 4 weeks later. I did the second section where you would have seen me and Michael trekking along the old railway line, and we metal detected and found a few old train spikes. So, and then now we're in April of 2021, so it's been, yeah, like I said, probably eight months, maybe a little bit longer since I first started shooting this video. Yeah, I just had other adventures to do and a few other things, and didn't have quite all the elements for this video that I wanted, but I managed to make it work and sort of done some editing, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Big special thanks, I guess, goes out to John from the Lake Clifton Winery. When I was there that day checking out the actual lime kiln itself, he gave me a call and said you should come and check out my my house and have a look at the old lime, where they pump the lime marl from, and you might be able to see the old track. So I went to his house, and that was the Lake Clifton Winery. And yeah, went and had a look, took the drone up, and we found like some evidence of where the lime was pumped out from the lake itself, and the train track that goes through his property. Then he suggested I go to Waroona, so I bought that Drakesbrook Days and Waroona Years book, and yeah, and then we started the hunt on trying to find the actual lime, the railway track, which we did find. So that was awesome. So yeah, and big thanks to Michael who came with me that day, and we did some things. And no, I still haven't eaten a witchetty grab, because that wasn't even a witchetty grab, and he keeps trying to get me to eat weird things, and I'm just not up for that one until I find a real witchetty grab. But anyway, I tried to put as much history on the actual lime kiln as I possibly could, but it was a bit hard because I didn't actually record it, but I sort of just wrote it over the top. But I've got it here in front of me. It's like from 1919 to 1921. They were actually pumping the sediment out of the Lake Clifton there through pipelines into like little settling ponds. So if you ever go to the lime kiln, you'll see a whole bunch of settling ponds as you walk in. They're just like little holes in the ground. They would pump them into them, let them dry out, and then they would have ran it through the actual kiln. But the kiln wasn't constructed till later. But anyway, so the railway line was actually constructed from Lake Clifton to Waroona in 1921. So they would have pumped all the limestone shell material basically into the trains, and settling ponds, and then into the trains, and then they basically transported that into Waroona and then onto trucks, and they took that up to Burswood to the actual Portland cement factory that they had up there. And yeah, and that was in 1921, and the actual the shell material was actually sent along that line until 1924. The train carried line in actual in open railway wagons. You would have seen halfway through the video, you would have seen the train derailed. So that was also another historical moment where the train actually derailed over near the bridge. And yeah, that picture's on the video there somewhere as well. What else we got? So yeah, sometime between 1922 and 1923, the actual rotary kiln was constructed, and that was actually to burn the sediment on site, and that way they could have saved having to tram it all the way to Burswood to do the manufacturing of the lime there. But they actually made the kiln there in 1922 to 1923, somewhere there. But it actually only operated for 2 weeks, and then they closed down the whole lime kiln. So it was actually a pretty big deal. They spent a lot of money and time and effort on coming up with this lime kiln, and it was only open for 2 weeks. The actual lime proved to be unsuitable for cement manufacture, so it wasn't good enough material or lime marl to justify making cement out of it. So yeah, the Lake Clifton Lime Works closed in September of 1923, and yeah, the railway line was partly taken up in 1924 and transported they took it away to make the Lake Grace to the Newgate line, which is up north. The rotary kiln itself has been removed, but the bricks structure that was used to support it is still standing and is in pretty good condition. They say very good, but I don't think it's very good. It's reasonable. It's not bad. Yeah, and once the actual lime kiln closed down and the train line was removed, there was actually people living out there that were obviously working in the area, and they used to live in tents, so that was their house. But the train line was actually removed, and the train line was no longer in use for the people, for the town, and were unable to continue to live in such an isolated area because the food and water obviously wasn't able to move to and from Waroona as quickly. So it made it very difficult for these guys who were living out there to get around and maintain their food and water, because obviously they were training it in to and from Waroona and getting their supplies and coming back to live. But when it all closed down, basically the whole town site sort of uplifted and just moved out. So there is not much left of the old Lake Clifton town site now. There's an old quarry that was built on it, and that's pretty much everything of the town is gone. You can't really even tell where any of the town site is anymore, but I'm going to go try and find some remnants of it one day, and that'll be in a future video. But yeah, I tried to give as much info on this video as possible and history of Lake Clifton. But like I said, if a few things that you want to do, go down and see the lime kiln. That's still standing today. It's a nice little picnic area, and you can go and check out the actual lime kiln itself and do a little bit of history on the place. You can look it up, or you can go and visit the Waroona Shire. They actually invited me to go into their little museum and check out some of the history on the place. So yeah, another, like I said, special thanks obviously was for John from Lake Clifton Winery. So go check him out. He's on the Old Coast Road. You'll see signs that say like port or wine and things like that. Just follow the signs, and he's off the, I think it's Newnham Road or one of those, but it's on the Old Coast Road. You'll see the signs, and go and check him out. His port's absolutely beautiful. He's a really nice guy. He's an avid AFL supporter, so you'll probably get some good conversations about footy with him, and some taste testing. And yeah, his wife also is very lovely, and they do all sorts of things like olives and yeah, like I said, wines and ports, and they do the taste testing, and they actually do part of a tourist attraction is, yeah, his winery. It's part of the tours that they do in the area, and his place is one of the stops that they go to and visit. So yeah, but anyway, go check out his stuff. He's also on Facebook, so I'll try and leave some links in the description down below, and that way you can go and contact him and get yourself some wine. Like I said, the plum port is what I always buy, and the white wines, the strawberry wine. It's all really nice, good quality stuff, and yeah, he does a really good job on his wines. So go check him out. Anyway, that's the video. I hope you got a little bit out of this, got a bit of history, and like I said, it's a long forgotten history. The old train line, you can't really see much of it anymore, but there was a train line there 100 years ago, so it's pretty cool. But that's the video now, guys. Thanks, guys, for watching. If you've made it this far, thanks, and yeah, peace out and stay moist.